Hey everybody, it's Ashley Schmidt here, and I wanted to go over how to come up with what I like to call treatments, or pretty much ideas for covers. So what I do is I like to look at styles. So I go along and I've typed in gratitude journal here on Amazon. So Amazon's a great place to look for a style of a journal. You're not trying to copy, but you're trying to come up with a style. So I thought I'd talk through it. So right here, you've probably all seen this gratitude journal a million times, right? But look at the style. So it's got basically a pattern of flowers, and then it's got how they've cut it out right here and put the words in, and they've got this pretty little border around here. Okay, so that's a style, and you'll see that kind of a very common style. So here's another one. It's got kind of a fun, funky border around the edges, and then the wording in the middle, and that's a style. Here's an interesting style. I like this. So it's got kind of a background and a design, and then it's got what looks like a bookmark across it. This is a fun type of style. It's something a little bit different. And then you have this Zen one where it's just basically a cutout. They got a cool pattern paper, cut out a fun little mandala, stuck their name in between it, and so there's not much to it. This has got a pattern, and then they just basically took out the rainbows, or maybe just put in the rainbows right there. But you can kind of see here they had a white box that they just stuck over that. And here's another style. They took a wreath. So you can buy a lot of wreaths, or you can make them with things that you have. And then they just put it in, and then you have the bottom title across. And these are really pretty. This is one of my favorites. I did a cover, inspired by this, but for a completely different genre. It wasn't for gratitude at all, but I loved the style of it. Look how pretty it's got this cover, not cover, it's got the edge. It's got this cool color. It's got the mandala back here, and it's cut by this so that they could read this. And they have the black, so they've outlined their words in black and gave them kind of a shadowed texture across this, and then they just give pretty pattern on here. This is a pretty easy one to make, and I really, really like it. All right, so now let's go down and see what else we can find. Here's a few things that are simple. This one right here, you can see that it's got a fun pattern background, and then they pulled up a really cute little border, and it extends across the sides and has the in a nice little banner. And then they have different, you can see that there's different textures as far as, typesettings. So, but they match. So the and gratitude journal match, and then they have kind of this scripty fun font right here. And notice this one's for kids, so it's bright, it's colorful. They've changed the color of each letter for a font. I've noticed that for kids, they love that. The more rainbow color, the better. Now here's another really simple one. They just have some gratitude journals with a pretty graphic, and you can kind of flip through. So here's another simple one, right? Got the flowers around the edges, and it says, "Give thanks to the Lord," a gratitude journal. But look at some of these simple ones. You've got just a fun gradient color here, big happy face, the 5-minute happiness journal, right? It's a happy smile. Calming, right? It's got a calm graphic water. So, you know, if you're doing like a wellness journal or something like this, this is a style you can use. You would do something, you know, not maybe on water, maybe it could be leaves, it could be a pretty thing. So I like to look and see what's out there. So let's do, sorry if I scroll all the way up. So let's talk some kid ones that I think are fun. This is one that I think is, would you rather for kids? So this is kind of some simple fun stuff. So like, look, it's just got some fun, funky font, and then a cute little dog right there, right? So this one I think is obnoxious, but it sells well. And right, again, it's kids, right? So kids like all these colors. Let's see, what else? Would you rather for kids, right? Funky font, cute graphic. It's bright, right? Yellow, pink, those are bright colors. This is a style, this paper, this ripped paper look, that is a really common typical style. Or this yellow paper look, that's another kid type style. I was trying to find one. I think that's a Christmas one I'm thinking of. But you can see, yeah, it's not like some of these are really all that exciting. You just have to go through and see what other people do. And you can use, well, like I said, you use a style. So, right, typesetting, maybe that's not a good one. Let's go back up here. Use like this, you could use this style right here. Just a ton of different ways, right? This is a kid stuff, but this might really work for a journal, or it just depends what you're writing on. You kind of want that. And then definitely the style, you know, some sort of type, some sort of font, and then a pattern. I'm sorry, a picture, right? You know, another place I get inspiration. So like I said, I'll just go through, and sometimes I will go through, this one's a cute one, right? You have a silly graphic, and then it's got the, for the kids, see how it's got the type that has like a shadow effect, kind of that bold. If you can find fonts like that, that's really great. It really makes things stand out. So I've also have Deposit Photos. I have an account with them, but you could just get on for free and just look. I get in like what I want to call the styles, the treatments, ideas from flyers, advertisement and flyers. Like this is a fun one. See how it's got a shadow on both edges and it's set out in the middle and it has a funky pattern on the side. That can be a really cool like style. This one I thought was very eye-catching. Look at the colors. And it's got a swirly pattern, and then it's got like these dots to give each a texture. So you could use that. Something like this, how it gives not just color, but texture, right? So adding some texture. Here's another example where texture makes it more interesting. See, it's got these texture in the background. I think it's leaves. But you can do things like that to make things more interesting. And I just go through and I literally will scroll through and what catches my eye. And I'll be like, oh, why does that catch my eye? And so I start looking at that. And then I kind of create something based upon that. Let's see if on the next page I can come up, see if anything that kind of catches my eye. This might be a good idea. You can do something, not just these swirls, but maybe like they were doing flowers. You could do flowers along the edges with a clear, well, not clear, but an empty space so that you have room for your text. I wouldn't use white. I am not a fan of white around the edges on books because you have to be kind of, you either have to kind of put a line or a border so that the white doesn't wash out into the page. Try to publish one, it washes out. So here's a fun one, right? Okay, this stands out. It's got like a big splatter. And this might be fun for a teen or maybe kids, but more, this looks teeny tweeny to me, right? It's got the splotch and then the words across it. But you could definitely take this style and create something interesting. All right, so I'm gonna pull up Creative Fabrica, and you could just look through here and see what they have, but like get ideas maybe from vintage posters. This may not be, it depends what you're doing, but you can look up posters and kind of come up with interesting ideas from there, right? They've got, oh, sorry, it's got like a cameo effect. So you could do something with a cameo, and that might be interesting. And this, look, this is just a big picture with the text across it. So you can definitely use that as a style. Like they have like a little cameo in the corner. Maybe there's a little graphic you want to put in the corner. Here's one, you can't see it as well, but it's got a slanted, a big, I think of this as like carnival or very poster type, and that might be interesting. And then it's got the graphics. So what I basically do is I just go through and honestly look and see what catches my eye, and then I study why does it catch my eye. What are the, you don't have to necessarily copy the fonts exactly, but the style of it. And then you could take that style and see, here's, okay, so here's a poster pack. See those fun textured letters? That's super fun for kids. So anything textured or colored. Another thing you can do is like this poster, how it's really pretty. It's got the graphics and the color, and then they just did the white font across it. So you find a picture like this, and then you put the font across it, and maybe you add snowflakes. You add a bunch of little white dots all over to kind of give it some more texture and interest. One of my other favorite things to do is I will get patterns from Creative Fabrica. I have a subscription with them, but I use like their papers. So you can type in papers. You can get these from everywhere. There's so many, and there's free ones. There's all sorts of things out there. This is just one of the ones I use. These are some digital papers that fun textures, right? We were talking about those fun textures. You could pull out the color, this beige color, or you could use it, but you could use these dots on a green that's very similar to give it some texture. See how this paper, you can barely see it, but it's got texture too. So you can use that for letters. Here's some rust patterns. You could use different things in the background. These might be fun to do a cutout and cut letters out and make different things. But there's so many patterns and textures. I like to use wood sometimes. Let's see. Deep waters. Let's see. I usually like wood patterns. Those are fun to add some wood pattern. You can watch me type badly. All right, so wood patterns and textures. I know there's some washed out ones. Oh, so see like these washed out ones or something like that. But what I do is I kind of look around and kind of just see what catches my eye. Why does it catch my eye? What can I add and do like in a background and interest? Those are some fun little cute graphics for kids. I'm not sure why they came up with wood textures, but okay. But yeah, so you can shop the top 10 best list. Another way to do it, let's see. All right, so I'm going to go over here and click this bestsellers. And it's just pulling up the bestsellers, but you can go to books. Just look at what the #1 books are. All right, so styles. Yet again, look for styles. It looks like right here, these are not going to just be Kindle or independently published book, KDP books. These are going to be publishers as well. But look at what the styles are. So this is like a picture in the background, and it makes sense where the crawdads sing, right? And this is really busy. I wouldn't actually suggest this. It's hard to read. And some of these too. But okay, here's one for cooking, right? So say you're doing a cookbook or something. Here's a fun pattern that you can kind of barely see, and then a pretty picture of food, right? That makes sense. Something I like to do is this edge border. I think that looks really classy sometimes, and you can definitely have it have texture or have something that's interesting. Let's see, what else do we see? Kids books, a lot of kids books right now. But oh, here's another texture. So these, they do it. School Zone does a lot of stuff, but look how cute this is, how it appeals to a kid. It's a fun graphic. It's this big kindergarten. That's a koala bear. Sorry. He's coming over the kindergarten. See, they've done all these fun layers. They have like a little, I guess, box out here that you can create. I mean, none of that is really complex to do. It just looks complex. It's really a fun graphic with how they've decided to put their wording. But it's kind of fun to see. So they've got, you can see in the background, it's got a striped background. It's got this cute graphic. And then they've got just basically a box. And then they wrote big, the blue, and kind of stuck it on the same color so it blends in. And then they just kind of layered him on top and then put this so they can put like their subtitle or more information. So just look around and see what you can find. Here's another one of those spines. They're nice. This is the 4 agreements, so it's got 4 things. That makes some sense. And just look around at this stuff. And why does it look good? This looks really good with that chalk style. So chalk is a style. You can do this kind of chalk background and chalky looking flowers. So that can be a style. Here's something very simple, right? Educated. It's got a pencil. So you can do really some simple stuff that doesn't necessarily, like here's just a graphic, and look, it's got these background letters, and then it's got the title. So look around and just see what catches your eye and ask yourself why, and how can I do my stuff like this, right? Here's a kindergarten workbook. They've just kind of put a label down there and have a little sticker badge and then a graphic. And then right here, ages 5 to 6. So it gives kind of the ages, and they put that down there. None of that is really that complex, but it looks good. It looks professional. So look at I'll just go down and look and see why I like things and what I like and why do I like it. And then I'll click on it and look around and decide, okay, this is a style I could repeat. I could repeat, you know, I could definitely repeat something like this cute kid graphic, little badge right there. And I could do, instead of, you know, my kindergarten workbook, it could be, you know, a would you rather book with a cute little graphic here or whatever. You don't want to copy it, but you can copy the style. They have the cutout, they've got some lines here. Maybe you want this, maybe you don't, but you just look and see what catches your eye and ask why it catches your eye. Why is it visually appealing? And that's kind of how I do it. I just copy the style, but not necessarily even for the same thing. It's like, oh, okay, this, oh, I want chalky flowers and I want this chalky background. And mine might not be a prayer journal. It might be something completely different, but I think this would appeal to a woman, right? Prayer journal for a woman. So I could use the same style and use it for something completely different. And you can kind of, as you do this a lot, you'll see that some of these styles are pretty repeated. So it's nothing, there's nothing huge or new. Oh, here's what I was talking about the white book background. See the hungry caterpillar? It's a white book, so you can't see the edges. Now, it's a hungry caterpillar. Everyone kind of knows that book, so that's probably not a bad thing. But I don't think it looks as pretty as this nice bordered edge. And I think it kind of blends into the background too much. So I tend not to have the white. They've done a little shadow on this, so you can kind of see where the edges are. But you have to make sure you do that. Otherwise, the white tends to blend in. I just try and generally pick a color. Like here's another one, the white. See how it blends into the background? This isn't so bad because it's got this and you know that the book is right here. So it's not as noticeable. But if the whole thing was white, it would be really obvious. All right, so hopefully that was helpful for you all. Sorry if it was long and if I repeated myself a million times, but that's kind of all I do. I just go around and look and see what I like and ask, why do I like it? You know, there's a bordered here edge, and look, it's not just a square. It's got cut off corners. How do you do that? Could you make it rounded corners, which is something easy to do in with a shape? So look at that sort of stuff and just kind of copy the style, especially if you do it for something different, it's really easy to like, okay, here's another one. Copy, this style can be copied for so many things, right? Banner across it, fun bordered edge, the little, this is probably, you know, it could be your title, could be something maybe a little bit bigger, the subtitle here, or this could be the title and this could just be nothing, it could not be there, and then a graphic, right? You can copy that style. All right, anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope that you see kind of honestly what I do. I just look through and decide what I like, why do I like it, and then I just reuse the style, not the exact graphic, not the exact words, any of that sort of stuff, but how do I make my stuff visually appealing? And I base that on what I think is visually appealing, what's selling well that's visually appealing, and then just recreate that same style. You know, look at colors, look at textures, look at things that you can definitely recreate with boxes or, you know, that sort of stuff. So thanks so much for watching.